Hi creators, I'm Anne of Anakin Creates. Welcome to my channel. Today's video will show how to fill this letter M outline to look like this. But first, I wanted to spend just a quick minute talking about the outline because it's not my typical white on white. The way I decided to do the colored background was to trace my letter on this deep, dark purple paper, which I'm guessing is about a 65-pound cardstock, and cut it out. Then I made 5mm wide strips from the same paper to use for the outline. You might think that the cardstock letter would make it easier to form the letter around, but you'd have to be unnaturally perfect not to have gaps or overlaps. I am not unnaturally perfect. So my advice for this part is be patient and careful, but still expect to have to make adjustments as you glue. Okay, let's fill the outline. The idea is to fill it with some traditional Japanese patterns and then add flowers on top. Here are the 3 shades of purple I'll be using. They all look significantly lighter than the background, but you'll see they appear darker when glued on edge. The first pattern is a series of concentric lines representing waves of the ocean. So choose a purple and cut an approximate length, erring on the long side, and then curl, test, trim, test, and repeat as necessary until you're satisfied with it. It helps to have the strip touching something on both ends so it's sturdier, which means when I glue, I want to put glue on the bottom edge and the 2 sides. I'll do 3 strips in a wave, then change to a different purple and start a new wave. You'll notice the dark and medium purples alternate left and right sides, but the light purple stays in the middle. I like the way that turned out, but you can do any order you want. The second pattern is made of lots of squares. For each square, I use a 2-inch strip, and after some prep curling, I roll it with a straight pin. So to get it started, I give the end of the strip a couple strong curls and press the pin just below the edge. And then using my thumb to grab that edge, I roll it around the straight pin. After a few turns, I finish rolling by hand. Let the tight coil relax into a loose coil, then glue shut, and then pinch opposite ends to form a marquise. Turn it 90 degrees and pinch again, and then straighten it out to get your square. This pattern represents the spotted back of a fawn, and it's usually seen in white. But that little small circle in the middle of each square, that's totally part of the pattern, which makes these quilled squares like ideal for this purpose. I mostly made a lot of dark purples with a few of the other 2 shades. The third pattern will be clouds, and I'll start off by making a swirl. So I've got 4 strips, each about 2 inches long. I'm going to offset the ends slightly and put a line of glue right at the tips. You can see how it has a nice tapered look where we offset the ends. Use my quilling needle to prep it, and then I'll take my squeezers. And then I'll take my tweezers, squeeze the end tight, and wrap the stack of strips around it. Okay, awesome. Then adjust that curl if needed. Then give the stack a little curve in the opposite direction. If you want to space out the strips, you can. You can do that by gently tugging the ends one by one. The unglued end, I want that to have a tapered look too, but I'd like the light purple to stay tucked inside. So I'm going to trim both of those strips shorter than the 2 outside strips, and then glue them all together. For the next part of the cloud, I'm going to take a strip and fold a short section, then make another fold a little further down, so there's 3 segments. Curl the short section so it's like a small bump upwards, and then curl the next section into a bigger bump, and then the last section we will roll into a scroll. That looks nice, but I want it a little looser, so I'll unroll it a bit and then roll it back again. So there you go. When I glue more complicated shapes like these, I smear a thin layer of glue on my tray and put the shape on top. The rest of the cloud pieces are some combination of curved strips and scrolls. The last pattern is not a traditional Japanese pattern. Mainly, it's a bunch of loose coils. It's really just a way to fill the space quickly and easily to provide a base for the flowers that will be going on top. I don't anticipate much of it being visible in the end, so if you're going to stress about something, it should not be this. And the part we've all been waiting for, the focal flower. The first step is to gild a pale pink strip. That means I give it a golden edge. There's a variety of ways you can do this depending on what supplies you have, or maybe you just want to buy professionally gilded strips. I have gold nail polish. After wiping off the excess, I run the side of the brush along the top edge of the strip. I'll do that 2 or 3 times to make sure it's got a good coat of gold, but you know, be careful not to make it too gloppy on the sides. And set that aside to dry, and in the meantime we can make the flower petals. I'm using a full strip of white, roll into a tight coil, and then grab that circle template and let it open up in a 15mm hole. Glue shut and pinch one side to form a teardrop. Then I'll wrap it in a plain pale pink, this is not gilded, going around 4 times. This may seem like a lot, but it will give just a hint of pink. Then wrap it in the gilded pale pink, going around 3 times. And we're making a cherry blossom, in case I didn't mention it before, which I don't think I did, continuing the Japanese theme. And I don't know if you've seen these like stylized cherry blossoms, but they have this notch at the top of the petal. To make the notch at the top of the petal, I close my tweezers and push them into the petal and use my left hand to squeeze the petal around the tweezers. So that's the finished petal, and you'll be making 5 of them. For the flower center, take a 2-inch strip of pink, slightly darker than the pale pink we used before, and roll it and glue it into a tight coil. And then cut 3 short strips of the same pink, and I'm sorry, I did not measure these, but they look like 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch long. Stack 2 of them together and cut 3 slits. The last strip, you'll cut 1 slit and then cut the strip in half. So you should have 2.5 pieces. And glue those pieces around the tight coil, matching bottom edges. Then pull out that cut fringe and curl gently outward. And now it's time to glue it all together. The first petal, I put glue on the tip and attach it to the center. And then every petal after that gets glue on the tip and a bit on either side. While the glue is still wet, you can adjust the petals and get them how you want them. Once it's completely dry, you can fatten up those petals and get the flower looking more full. Okay, very, very nice. Now we're going to make some mini cherry blossoms. Using the pale pink again, we'll use 1/8 of a strip. Roll, tight coil, loose coil, glue, teardrop. Wrap in a gilded pale pink 2 times around. With this little tiny thing, I'm going to use just 1 prong of my tweezers to make the notch. So you make 5 of those and dip each petal tip in glue and stick them all together. I made 2 of this size and then 1 slightly larger, using 1/4 of a strip for each petal. Next up are mini gray flowers, shaped like plum blossoms, which are also popular in Japanese patterns. Roll up 1/8 of a strip of light gray and make a little teardrop. Wrap twice in black and another 2 times in gilded black. In case you haven't already guessed, everything from here on out is getting a gilded outline. So glue 5 petals together just like we did with the mini cherry blossoms. And after it's all the way dry, we can squish the petals a bit to give the flower a fuller look. I made 2 of these. And then we'll make some yellowish teardrops. I've got a 3-inch strip of off-white that I'll make into a teardrop. Wrap it in light yellow, going around 4 times. And then gilded light yellow, going 2 times around. I made several of these in a few different sizes, using 3-inch strips like I just showed, and a size smaller using 2-inch strips, and a size bigger using 4-inch strips. Moving on to some greenery. I've got a 1/2 strip of green and a 1/2 strip of dark green. Roll into a tight coil, relax into a loose coil, glue shut, and then pinch opposite sides to make a marquise. There's really no need for precision this time. In fact, you can just squash it completely. Wrap each marquise in gilded green, going twice around. Then smush both marquise together, glue, and wrap the whole thing in more gilded green, if you want. And why wouldn't you want? I made 3 of these leaves. The last thing to make are tiny leaves. Roll 1/8 of a strip of dark green and make a marquise. Feel free to smush flat. Wrap twice in gilded dark green and you're done. And let's see, how many did I make? I don't remember, but I used 7, which isn't bad. They do go fast. Okay, good job. We've got all of our elements completed. Oh, do keep some gilded green handy for stems. And we are ready to glue. I did run into a problem where I needed to add a square to support the larger flower. And then I realized the leaves wouldn't stay up either, so I glued in yet another square, making sure to place it so it'd be 99% covered and hardly noticeable. Well, this was kind of a lengthy project since we had to fill the whole outline and then make more stuff to go on top, but I have to say, this is gorgeous. Love the richly colored background with the muted but still noticeable patterns, the bright florals on top, and I adore the gilding so much. I just really do. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time.